We're going to finish the tea and biscuits, and we didn't finish with B yesterday. But when I see this, whoops, when I see this 1/10 of an integral, okay, Cameron, Nick, I'm thinking of what? Does anybody know what that's going to be? That's average value. So when I look at a problem, I kind of like to look through it and see what's going to be in there. I see average value, I see trapezoidal rule, so I'm going to do some areas. And more problems you do, the more you're going to see the patterns and how things are always really asked over and over again. So we did this on the trapezoidal rule. I didn't check my answers. I set it up, and let's go ahead and check our answers. And it was 66 plus 60. I don't know what I have here, but it should be the same, and we could add it up. It was question 2, so you were allowed a calculator, but you're just fine with this. You get the point for making sure you're using trapezoidal rule. Now, they did give the points. I believe we gave the points even if you broke it up into rectangles. I think I was briefed on this, but I never corrected it. Okay, so now we have to do the last 2 parts. And even if I don't understand question C, actually, if you read it and think about it, you can do this without calculus, but we have to show the calculus. That's the problem. Okay? This is 2011, question 2. 1 and 2 will be your calculated problems. Okay? Amelia, do you have your packet out?
Yeah.
Natalie, put your phone away, please. We got to do this. And when I look at C, it says evaluate this integral. Using correct units, explain the meaning of this expression. What is that integral? Well, if you're integrating it, what's the antiderivative of h prime? H of t, and we will, using the fundamental theorem of calculus, evaluate it at 0 and 10. So, which is h of 10. Questions, girls? Put your phones away, please, or I'll take them. Minus h of 0. We have, when is the exam? 2 weeks from today. Okay, we can't do study sessions the week of the exam because there's too much stuff going on. And a number of you will miss classes because you'll be taking other exams. So basically by next Friday, we're done reviewing. There's review next week as well. Monday through Wednesday, I don't know if we'll do Thursday next week. For AB. BC, I'm going to do Tuesday through Thursday. Okay, what is h of 10? What does it represent? It's the degrees Celsius when? After what? 10 minutes. What do you have here? What does h represent? It's the temperature of your what? T. So it's 43 degrees after 10 minutes. And what's h of 0? And so if I do the arithmetic, this is negative 23. Do I have to use units? It does. Degrees Celsius. What does that mean? Your T started at 66, and 10 minutes later it's 43. So what does this mean because it's negative? It cools 23 degrees Celsius in 10 minutes. Let's check. Did I give it everything? That one's in the way. Okay. 2 points. Getting the negative 23 and 1 for the interpretation. Even if I don't know what to do with this, I know the antiderivative of h prime is h. So let's just do what it says. Then I'll interpret it. Okay, temperature of the T drops 23 degrees Celsius in the first 10 minutes. Okay, so it's really not that bad. Pardon? Okay, if you check your trapezoidal rule, you can. Okay, the last question. And just because you can't do A or B, okay, Zach, Natalie, and I noticed this on your quiz, on some of the continuity piece, some of you couldn't do A or B, but you could do the average value and did very well with that. So don't assume, because you can't do one of the other parts, you can't do the last part. Probably can. Okay, at time t equals 0, biscuits with temperature of 100 degrees were removed from the oven. The temperature of the biscuits is modeled by B. You know the derivative of B. Using the given models at time t equals 10, how much cooler are the biscuits than the t? So, at t equals 10, what's the temperature of the t? How do you know? Just look in your chart. It's what? It was 43 degrees. And you'll see a problem on the exam that looks like this. Those of you choosing not to do the FRQs, Adam and Luke, you are going to go in and you're going to see all that writing and it's going to slow you down, if not stop you. Because we are grouping them all by types right now, by topics. They're not going to be grouped by topics. You're going to have to figure out what it is. So the more you do, the better you get at it. So T is 43 degrees, and I want to know Celsius, and I want to know how much cooler the biscuits are, but I know how fast the biscuits are changing. This is 2011, number 2. Now, I want you to get your calculators out, and we're going to do this problem because I saw a number of issues entering this in our calculator. I believe I only have one. I have one, and I have inspires, which will bother you too. Well, when I see B prime of t, what is it going to make me think I'm going to have to do, Amelia? Okay, we got to focus here. B prime of t, what do you think I'm going to do with that? Forgetting anything I know. I'm going to integrate it. And I want to find, what? What do I want to know? I want to find the temperature of the biscuits. That's at t equals 10. I know the temperature of the biscuits when t equals 0, I believe. Wasn't I given that? Yeah. So I'm going to integrate this. So I'm going to integrate negative 13.84 e to the negative 0.173 t. Make sure you don't put extra zeros in there. dt. And where am I going to integrate it from? Natalie? Where am I going to integrate it from? From something I know to something I want to find. I know 0, right? To 10. Because that's equal to b of 10 minus b of 0. So if I solve this equation, sorry I got kind of messed up, but b of 10 is equal to the starting temperature plus the integral of this. Girls, you need to be paying attention. Negative 13, you should be doing this. So you should have your calculator out. I'm going to get mine out. And there it is. That's 100. Okay, so let me get my calculator out. You guys, oh, you have to, you'll beat me to it. See if you can put your function in. I would put it into Y1. And if you don't have the new operating system, I highly recommend you get it, but you better get it soon because you need to practice with it. I mean, I like it, but some of you don't like this sort of thing. It's just really nice because it's all in pretty print. So it looks like what you have here. Okay, I'm going to clear that out. Okay. Okay, guys, on the exam, you have to write basically what I have written here, b of 10 equals b of 0 plus that integral. They don't want to see FNINT. You can write it, they will ignore it. If you don't write it out in the proper notation, you'll not get any credit for it. So I'm going to do, in Y1, I'm going to clear that out, and we're going to put this in. Maybe. So it's negative. Now here's going to be the problem. And what I got to have E. Where's E? There it is. Second, this one. And I would put the parentheses in for me. I noticed that the parentheses are not there on some of the calculators, probably the 83s. You need a parentheses there. Without it, you're not going to get the right answer. 0.173, and the X is also in that parentheses. So if you don't put the parentheses in, it'll take e to the 0.173 Figure out that number, take that number times x, and I want x in the exponent. Did I miss the t there? I did. Sorry, there should be a t there. I'll put it in. Okay. Now, you remember where I find the integrals? Math. That's 9, I believe. Now, I'm not in the pretty print mode. So vars, it's a y variable. I want y1. You should be doing it with me, not sitting there with your hands not using a calculator. And it's x, because I kept mine in x's, comma, 0, comma, 10. And that's right. You guys get that? 65.817. I can bring that back up. And I meant my t here. Sorry, I missed my t. So it's 100 minus this. Do you actually have to do the subtraction? No. But you have a calculator, so it's not that big a deal. Let's check the points on this. So it's 34.0. I did this on a test too. I didn't finish the problem. That's the temperature of the tea. We still have to finish it. We have to see the difference between, the biscuits. We have to see the difference between the tea and the biscuits. So, where were we? What do we have? We have 43 degrees. How big is this? Because it started at 100 degrees, and it's cooling at this rate. 10 minutes later, it's cooled off to 65 degrees. Yes, you should. Because that's cooling off. Because it's 100. This is how many degrees it's cooled. So what's that work out to be? 34 point what? 182?
No, 182.
It's good enough. And how much was the tea? The tea was 43. I want to know what the difference in temperature is. How many? I need 3 places. Okay. Must have 3 places. Okay, so we got points for finding the value, the temperature of the tea, and then we found the value here, and then we are supposed to say, answer the question. And don't forget to answer the question. Just because I have 8.817, you have to say it's 8.17 degrees cooler than the tea. You don't have a choice on that. Which I didn't do. So then this is cooler than the tea. And the more you do, the more confident you will be. When is the exam? 2 weeks from today. So those of you who are not participating, not a good thing. Alexis, I want to see everything put away but your math. Okay, we could do more fundamental theorem problems, but let's do some multiple choice. Because I want to know how much cooler. This is the tea. The biscuits have cooled off. How much cooler are the biscuits than the tea? Right, because this is the temperature of the biscuits only. That's why you got to do the problems, because there's lots of reading and interpreting. And the more practice you get with reading and interpreting, the better off you're going to be on the exam. So I'm going to bring up my slide. I don't think I have it here. That has the multiple choice. So you should get your multiple choice packets out. You'll have to see Mrs. Hersman because she has them all.
2011.
You don't have 2011 multiple choice.
Which year?
2008, 2003, 1998, 1997.
What year should we pull out?
I start with 8. I hope so. There we go. Okay. Read through the problem. I still like to do the problems, but I still suggest that you probably read through the answers. There's some key words here. Antiderivative. If you have an antiderivative, I'm probably going to integrate, right? This is 2008. Why don't you have what? This is really key. See, guys, when you see that you have some points here, if I integrate f, what is the antiderivative of f? It's g. And I want to find g of 4. Now, I could use 0, but I don't know what g of 0 is. So why don't we integrate from 2 to 4? And that makes this 2 and 4. And so I know it's strange, but you're going to have an integral in your answer. I mean, it is strange. So it's the integral from 2 to 4 of f of x or f of t, it doesn't matter, they're dummy variables, is equal to g of 4 minus g of 2. And what's g of 2? Negative 7? So, integral from 2 to 4. Now, if you don't know what to do, what are you going to do? No? You're going to guess. Since you don't know what the antiderivative is, I would guess, not always, because they have 3 integrals here, that it would have to be one of those 3, but that's not always true. They like to change it up a little bit. G of 4 is equal to negative 7 plus this integral. Alexis, do you now understand which one it is and why?
Yes.
Careful, D looks very similar, but the negative 7 will not be integrated. Now, we lumped all the same types together. Pardon?
You just look at the answers and see that.
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. There's no penalty for guessing. Yes. Oh, I'll write on the board what problems, if I can find a place to write. Yeah. Some of you are very sequential, but it's really to your advantage to be random. If you don't know how to do a problem, if you look at it and you immediately don't know how to do a problem and you say, okay, I'm really confused in this, skip it. Come back to it. But make sure that you fill in all the little bubbles because there are no penalties. How about the next one? Come on up. When you look at, okay guys, Adam, this goes from negative 5 to 2, and this goes from 5 to 2. So you have to reorder this from 2 to 5. And when you do that, it becomes positive 4. So everybody see why it's a positive 4 and the answer is not A. Right. Because the integral from 5 to 2 is opposite the integral from 2 to 5. Okay, we ready to move on?
What's the average of the multiple choice? Like, what's the average percent?
It's pretty much like 60%. I just tried for some reason. Okay, try that one.
One question. Michael.
Wait, smart 9?
I believe it's number 9 of the regular one. Oh, we got lots of time. Then we'll come back and do some free response. It's backwards. So if I go, now, shh, you guys, so make sure you get this, Adam. If I find the area backwards, delta x is negative. Now, if that confuses you, I always want to go left to right. So if I switch that from -3 to -2, what do I have to put in front? So if that is easier, then do that. So that I know that g of -3 is less than 0. And then I can really ignore some of the other ones. I could find g of 2. Where's the other critical point, Sarah? Where's the other critical point? Endpoints, which is x is equal to -3, x is equal to 2, and where's the other critical point? 1. Okay, Sarah, Carolyn? Not 0. It's not 0. And because my derivative is positive, and then it becomes negative, Adam, is that a max or min? That means my function's increasing, then decreasing. It's a max. Okay, another way to look at it, Alexis, Adam, is to think that I want the area from -2 to 1. What's happening to the area as I go along this curve? It's increasing, increasing, increasing. So that's a max for sure. This is less than 0. Okay, Adam and Luke, I'm going to ask you to leave. All of you, doesn't matter. You guys, we only have this time. If you want your conversations, leave. Okay, now what happens here? The area goes up or down? Down. So I know it's not that one, so it's this. Now the problem is, be careful, because it could have been one of the endpoints. Somebody will just say, oh, it's where the derivative is 0. Because this integral, g of -3 is from -2 to -3, so I have to flip it. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, jumping to 2003, 85 and 92. B. The answer. So what I'm going to do with this problem, okay, Cole, I'm going to just draw the pictures. Adam and Carolyn, listen to the video later. Thing you do, and I do it too, I find, if I did A and did the Riemann sum and the trapezoid, I'd say, oh, that works. Because if let me draw out here.
Yeah, can you draw the trapezoid again?
Yes, it's very hard to see. Okay, so if I were to estimate this with a trapezoid, shh, you guys, I'm serious. I don't want this chit-chat in here. It's the same thing when there's 83 people in the forum. Can't have that. And so I'm going to draw my trapezoid, and there's my trapezoid. Do I have an overestimate or an underestimate? Over. And when I do the Riemann sum, I'm going to I'm going to divide it here, and I'm going to go over here and take the height on the right side, and that's under. So I wanted an under for the Riemann and an over for the trap. But be careful. You know some of them are going to be A for answers, but just double check the other ones. Because I know that there have been some where it looks like it's A and it's not. You will need your graphing calculator, and you will need to be in radian mode. Again? Okay, Julian, how do we do this? Always in radians. Your physics is putting you into degrees. The more we get done in class, the less we do outside of class. G is increasing. If you write this down, I think it'll help you. And when you're on the exam and you get stuck and you don't know what to do, you're going to imagine me sitting next to you saying, write down what it is you know. I know that G is increasing when G prime is greater than 0. So I need to find G prime. How do we do that? Why is this in the fundamental theorem section?
Because you take G prime.
How do you find G prime?
You take dx and it gets out of the
Even on your calculator, and those of you who have a CAS, Julian, you might want to check this out. I don't believe I can integrate sine of t squared at all. No, it's possible you can, but why would I do that? When I integrate it, I'm going to differentiate it. That's a waste of time. What are you going to do with the x? Put it right in there, and you get the sine of x squared.
That's what I said. You kept saying.
I heard you.
So you're only gonna do G prime of
This is g prime,
well, saying only good.
and you want to see where this is greater than 0.
This here,
G prime. G is the area under this. I want to undo that. So I go back to the original function.
Now we want to say the side of x squared.
It's positive. Notice the domain. Notice your answers, but even they gave you the domain, but if they didn't give you the domain, we'll get your answers. And I don't care about the y values, because I'm looking for zeros. So if your y min is -1, and if you want me to do it, I can. And y max, I don't care about the top of the function. That's unimportant. I only care about where the zeros are. Find your zeros, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's B. It's not 0. Is it 0? It's D. That one, I can't guess. So, I can't guess it, not just by looking at it. So we could look at some other multiple choice questions if you'd like. I could just bring up.
Wait, I don't. So you look up your graph, right?
Yeah, you have to find your zeros. You only have to find 1 0. I remember that about this problem. And it has to be this one because there are no other choices. Are you in radian mode? And then I want to be from -1 to 3.
Yep.
And so you're going to have to find that point there.
So it's where the sine of x is greater than 0, right?
Right, so you're going to have to find that. No, well, they didn't include it, but it shouldn't. I'm going to make this easier for you, though.
Those are it's greater than 0 at -1, isn't it?
Are we increasing or decreasing? Oh, I read it wrong. We're decreasing. It would be 0 if it was increasing. You got to correct me when I make these mistakes. I read it wrong. Decreasing. This is increasing. This is decreasing. These contacts. I read it wrong. So other multiple choice questions that you'd like to look at.
Did you do 90 from 2008?
Oh, you want a hard one. Okay, 2003. It'll take a second, so I gotta... Okay. Hey guys. Cole, how are you going to analyze this? We have a positive first derivative. Okay, Cole,
Yeah.
if you have a positive first derivative, what does that tell you about your function? Okay, it's increasing. So, knowing that, Adam and Luke, I can throw out C, right? Well, that was nice. Okay. Now the next part's a little trickier. Guys, I have a negative second derivative. So f double prime is less than 0, meaning it's what? Concave
Copy it down.
down. So you could just calculate the first derivative. This is what? The slopes, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Is that concave up or concave down? The slopes are increasing. And let's look at these slopes. It's 4, 3, 2. That concave, which one's concave up, which one's concave down? It's down, right? It's still increasing, but slower and slower. I believe I'm right.